Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be testing out the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue foundation as well as the Meet Your Hue concealer. Now we're going to start off with the foundation. This foundation retails for $36 US. It comes in 42 different shades. I grabbed the shade Light Medium, which is 120 or 120, which is in the range of light medium. You get your typical 1 fluid ounce worth of product, and it has a shelf life of 12 months. So if you like it, you have an entire year to use it all up. Now this is described as being a lightweight foundation that provides medium to full coverage. It also delivers a blurring effect that is going to help minimize the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. As far as how to apply it, you're supposed to be able to apply it using the Dose of Color Seamless Beauty Sponge, fingertips, or your preferred applicator. Achieve desired level of coverage by building up the foundation. So you can definitely start off small and then build up from there. I personally like medium coverage foundations, and then wherever I do feel like I need full coverage, that's when I'll dab a little bit more. So I can certainly appreciate medium to full coverage foundations, because in that way you can customize it to suit your complexion, to suit your needs. Now moving on to the concealer. The concealer retails for $24 US, and it can be found in 30 different shades. As you can see, I have 2 of the shades right here. The first one that I purchased was 14 in light medium, and that one, it's way too light. And the second one that I purchased was 20 in medium tan. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this one, and then if I need to, I'll mix a little bit of this one, just in case this one turns out to be a little bit too deep for me, then I can, apply this on top of it and make it work. As far as the description for this concealer, the website does state that this is a multitasking, full coverage, lightweight concealer that is easy to blend. This is supposed to conceal dark circles, blemishes, and other skin imperfections. As far as how to use it, it does state that you should apply concealer to the desired areas using the wand applicator, and then you can blend it out using the Seamless Beauty Sponge, your fingertips, or your preferred applicator. I usually blend out my concealers using my deluxe crease brush from Real Techniques, or I can use my beauty blender, or I use my 3D HD. This one's dirty and all the other ones are currently dirty and I still haven't washed them. So I'm either going to be blending it out using my beauty blender or my deluxe crease brush. I can never remember the name of this brush. It's the deluxe crease brush. I like blending my concealers out with this brush. However, if I do need a little bit of help, I've got a sponge. So let's go ahead and get started. Per usual, I am going to be testing out the concealer both with and without a color corrector underneath it. I just want to see exactly what kind of coverage we are able to achieve, whether or not it is full coverage on its own or if it needs a little bit of help. And for the foundation, I am not going to be applying any kind of a primer underneath it. I want to see exactly how this wears on its own on top of clean, moisturized skin. So let's start off with the color corrector. I'm using my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector in the shade Medium to Deep. Just applying a thin layer of that underneath this right eye. Now, the one thing that I didn't read anywhere, I wasn't able to find, is the type of finish. I don't know what kind of finish this is supposed to leave us with, the concealer or the foundation, whether this is a matte or a semi-matte or dewy, luminous, anything like that. I have no idea. As far as the concealer, it does contain sunflower seed oil, shea butter, and natural vitamin E. So I'm assuming that's not gonna be too drying. They're also vegan, cruelty-free, talc-free, and paraben-free. As for the foundation, it too is vegan, cruelty-free, talc-free, paraben-free. It is also oil-free and fragrance-free. So this one I'm assuming might deliver us more of a matte finish. We'll see what we get with the foundation though. If I do feel like it's not setting to something that's comfortable, like if it's staying a little bit too dewy on the skin, then I will set it with setting powder. But if not, then we'll just let it be and we'll see how it wears throughout the day that way. So let's go ahead and apply some of this foundation. So like I said, I grabbed 120 for the foundation, and I'm gonna apply it onto the skin using my beauty blender. So I just took 1 pump. It feels pretty thick. That's what it looks like there. And I'm only going to apply it onto this side, and then I'm going to leave this side alone, and that way I can zoom you all in and you can see exactly what kind of coverage this is delivering. Okay. All right, so there's half the face. I like it. It certainly is medium. I feel like I can probably build it up a little bit right here, which is what I'm gonna do right now. Want to see what it looks like. All right, so there it is. That's a full coverage like right here, and I would say medium coverage everywhere else, definitely. So now let me go ahead and zoom you all in so that you can get a better look at the before and after. Okay, so this is the before, pretty uneven as you can see. All right, and then this is the after, which is pretty even and it looks really smooth. Okay, let's move on to the rest of the face. I did add a little bit more, so it's like half a pump more. Because, you know, when you use sponges, they just absorb some of the product. They just do. Now let's work on this side. All right, so foundation done. So far, so good. I do feel it just a little tiny bit sticky right now, but I just applied it, so I'm gonna wait a few minutes before I decide whether or not to set it. Now let's move on to the concealer. So I'm gonna start off with 20, and then like I said, if I see that it's a little bit too dark, then I'll add a little bit of 14 onto it. But for now, I'm just gonna do 20. And it comes with a huge doe foot applicator, grabs quite a bit of product, so I did scrape some of it off because I don't want too much on the eye. This kind of smells like MAC Studio Fix. I'm gonna bring this into the inner corner of my eye just to, as you can see, it's like really dark. So I wanna brighten it up. All right, so I dipped it again. As you can see, it's a lot. So I'm gonna take some of it off. Leave me with that. And I'll apply that onto this side. I feel like this is pretty high coverage. As you can see, I have a thin layer of concealer underneath the eyes, although it looks like a lot because I spread it out. It is not a lot. And my dark circles are concealed, I would say. At this point, they're pretty concealed. Let me blend it out, and I'll blend it out using my damp sponge so that if I am wearing an excessive amount, it's gonna absorb some of that. So I'm not gonna be left with too much underneath the eyes. So let's go ahead and blend this out and see what it looks like. All right, so one side done. I should have cleaned the under eye because look, I can still see some of the glitter from my eyeshadow. It's underneath the concealer now, so that's gonna bother me all day long. Okay, let's move on, shall we? All right, there it is. I like it. I feel like I'm getting better coverage on the side that I did not color correct though. Like, do y'all agree? Because look at this side, I can still see my dark circle a little bit right here, but this side just looks brighter to me. And so I feel like it's concealing better because of that. Now, I'm gonna wait a couple of seconds. It doesn't seem like I'm gonna need to set this because it's not settling into my fine lines whatsoever, but you never know. So I am gonna give it a couple of seconds. As far as the face, it's still a little sticky, just a little bit. And yeah, it's not comfortable, and I don't think it's something that's gonna allow me to be able to blend out my powders on top of it, since I do wear powder bronzer, powder highlighter, powder blush whenever I do wear it. It is always powder. It's not gonna blend out very nicely if it's still really tacky. So I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes. Anyway, same with the under eye. I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes. All right, so it's been about a minute, maybe two. The under eye area doesn't seem to be needing to be set. Oh yeah, it does. It's settling into my fine lines on this side. Very little, but it is. And not so much on this side, but definitely on this side. So let me grab my RCMA No Color Loose powder, and I'll be right back. All right, got it. So I'm just gonna grab some of the powder using my damp beauty blender, and I'm just gonna shake off the excess and then set the under eye. That way it's just a nice, light, thin layer. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Now let me go ahead. Oh, the forehead. It's already doing some funky stuff, this foundation. Let me show you. Okay, so let's start off with the under eye area. This is what it looks like. I feel like I'm getting really nice coverage. As far as the foundation, look what it's doing already. It's like already breaking up on me. Kind of everywhere. Like, I've made expressions for maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes since I've had this on, and it's already kind of cracking. That's gonna be a problem. All right, so I've only had this on for a few minutes and it's already getting on my nerves. Let's set the forehead. I'm gonna set the forehead. My skin type is oily here along the T-zone, and I'm normal everywhere else. I don't know what kind of finish this is supposed to provide us with, but my forehead's not liking this foundation right now at all. So I'm gonna set it, and I'm gonna try to blend it out a little bit more. See if that helps, and hopefully we don't run into that problem again throughout the day. And you know what? I think I'm gonna set the whole face actually, because I do still feel really sticky. I usually don't put this much on. My gosh, I grabbed too much. But I feel like this foundation is probably gonna need it. And right here around the pores. All right, so now I did it. I set the face. Forehead's not doing that right now, but we'll see once we check in later. All right, so now let me just jump off camera really quickly in order to finish the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. Okay, so now I am back, makeup is done, and I like it. So far, I actually like it. Once I set it, it feels fine, and it looks good. Hopefully we don't have that same issue throughout the day along the forehead. I don't see it as of right now, so that issue's gone away, but yeah, that was kind of weird because it happened right away. It was weird. So anyway, there's that. As far as the concealer, although the coverage is there, I don't feel like this is concealing my dark circles completely. Like, I don't know. It's pretty full coverage, but I feel like you can still see them. You can still see them. Just, not as much, which is fine. It's not a big deal. We'll see how it wears though. The formula right now feels really comfortable. It truly does feel lightweight. As far as whether or not the corrector is helping, I don't think so. I feel like both sides look pretty similar. So yeah, we'll see whether or not the corrector makes a difference throughout the day, because sometimes it does. But as far as coverage, I feel like they're pretty even. All right, so let's see, what time is it? It is 11:12. So I do plan on wearing this the entire day, and I am going to be coming back halfway through the day in order to show you all some close-ups and to talk to you all a little bit about how the products have been wearing up to that point. Hopefully the foundation still looks like this and it's not doing the weird stuff along the forehead, because I do tend to get oily along the forehead throughout the day. So we'll see. This doesn't have any claims as far as like being able to keep you matched throughout the entire day or anything like that. But hopefully it doesn't get too crazy along the forehead, because that would be disappointing. We'll see what it looks like come midday though. So I will see you all back here in a few hours for my midday check-in. All right, so now I am back for my midday check-in. It is currently 4:02. So I've had these products on now for about almost 4 hours or something like that. Almost 5 hours, actually, now that I think of it. I think almost 5 hours. Now, before I get into my midday opinion, I am going to zoom you all in so that you can get a better look at the foundation and at the concealer underneath the eyes after about 4, almost 5 hours of wear. All right, so we're gonna start off with the left side of the face, and as you can see, it still looks good. It still looks really good, actually. And it feels pretty lightweight, pretty comfortable. And this is what the right side currently looks like. Now along the forehead, I don't know why, but it's kind of like creasing right here in particular, like here on my little 11, which whenever I make any expressions, like they always show up, and it's creasing right there. It's cracking. Creasing, cracking, very obvious. I don't like that. So it's not as seamless here along the forehead. And I feel like I have a similar situation here along the smile lines. If I'm just like serious, you can kind of see them like marked. You know what I mean? Like these lines right here, you typically would not see if I'm not wearing any foundation, like if my skin's moisturized or if I'm wearing the right foundation. But with this one, it's like accentuating them just a little bit. Just a little bit. There are foundations that have done it much worse than this one, so it's just something to take note of. As far as the under eye area though, this is what it looks like. And I'm still pretty pleased with the under eye. It doesn't look like excessively dry or anything like that. I feel like it's still providing really, really nice coverage. Even though I didn't use a heck of a lot or multiple layers of the concealer, it still looks really good on both sides. All right, so that is it for my midday check-in. So far, I'm still pretty content with my purchase. I'm still all right with the way that things look and the way that things are wearing, aside from the forehead a little bit. And of course, like right here, just a little bit. You know, if I'm being nitpicky at this point, but that's all that I've noticed so far. So we'll see how we end the day. I do plan on continuing to wear this until about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, just to give it a full day's worth of wear. So I will see you all back here in a few more hours for my final thoughts on these two products. All right, so I am back for my final check-in. It is currently, what time is it actually? It is 8:05. So I've had this on for about 9 hours, almost 9 hours. I forget when I started the day. I don't really remember. But anyway, it's been a long day. I'm ready to wash everything off, throw on a mask, and call it a night. But before I do, of course, I have to show you all some close-ups and give you all my overall thoughts on both of these products, the concealer, the foundation, how they wore. I'll talk to you all a little bit about that. But first, like I said, let me zoom you in and show you what everything looks like on my face after a full day's worth of wear. Okay, starting with the left side, it looks great. Nothing's worn off. Everything looks the same as it did when I first applied it, which I'm very, very surprised by, but everything looks great. Everything's still intact. Nothing has moved around. Nothing has worn off, at least not on the cheeks. Same on this side, exact same situation. I haven't seen the foundation wearing off on any particular area, and I haven't noticed it moving around on this cheek either. This is what the forehead looks like, and you know, aside from what we spoke about midday, I didn't notice any additional like cracking or creasing anywhere on the forehead. I do tend to get oily along the forehead more so now than I ever did before. I break out now in my 30s more than I ever did in my 20s here along the forehead. I don't know why, but in the last couple of years, I've just been breaking out a lot on my forehead. So I'm still trying to like figure out skincare for that. I did set it at the beginning of the day. As you all saw, I set the entire face. So I wasn't expecting for anything to like crack or crease or settle, but this definitely did just right here though. And then just the pore situation, like I can really see my pores where I usually don't pay attention to that, or I don't really notice it because there's nothing there for me to notice. I have noticed it today as I've just been like walking around, doing my thing. Every time that I like grab a mirror, I do notice the pores right here. And of course, a little bit of accentuating here along the smile lines. Now, as for the concealer though, I feel like it still looks good underneath the eyes, and I feel like I'm getting similar coverage underneath both eyes, surprisingly, because usually I prefer concealers with my corrector underneath, with the Becca corrector, but this one, it wore pretty much the exact same on both sides, so no need for a corrector with this concealer, which I am very, very surprised by, although you do have to set it because it does settle into fine lines just a little bit, or at least it did on me. All right, so there you have it. Overall, not bad. Not a bad combo whatsoever. I was really surprised by the concealer. I was not expecting for me to like it, really. But I do like it. It wore nicely with and without. I still, like, even looking at myself here on the monitor right now, I feel like I'm getting a little bit better coverage over here than I am over here, even though I'm wearing a corrector to help it out over here, you know what I mean? So I like this concealer. It did not settle into fine lines. It was at first, like I said, but after setting it, it didn't settle into fine lines. It didn't break up. It looks fine underneath the eyes. It doesn't look like excessively dry or anything like that. It does look worn, so it doesn't look as fresh as it did this morning, but that's to be expected. I've had it on for hours now, so it's to be expected. However, it's still doing a really good job at like concealing and staying in place, so I am very surprised by the concealer. The foundation I liked, but I didn't love. You know, it wasn't a foundation that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to wear it again. The one that I do feel like that about, and I continue to feel that way about, is the Stay Naked foundation from Urban Decay. That one I'm like in love with right now. But this one, you know, it was fine. It wore nicely. It didn't like oxidize or do anything weird, at least nothing that I noticed. And it does feel lightweight. Now I did have to set it, as you all saw at the beginning of the day, because otherwise it was feeling really sticky even after I had waited a few minutes. It wasn't setting to something that I felt comfortable with, you know, that tacky feeling. I don't like, I can't deal with. But once I applied powder on it, it was fine. The only complaint I guess that I can have, if I'm being like really super nitpicky about this foundation, is the little creasing situation here, or the breaking up here in between these frown lines, the slight accentuating of my smile lines, and then just here along the side of my nose, the pores. Yeah, wasn't happy about those things, but they weren't like a deal breaker for me, you know what I mean? So they weren't something that I could say definitely not, I'm never wearing this foundation ever again. Absolutely not. I do not feel that way about this foundation whatsoever. It does wear very, very comfortably, very lightweight. It does provide really nice full coverage, medium to full coverage, just depending on, I'm assuming depending on how you apply it. I applied it with my damp beauty blender, which does usually provide me with a little less coverage right off the bat. So I do have to build it up. But if I apply it with like a nice dense brush, I feel like I would get full coverage right away. So I think just depending on how you apply it, you could get full coverage right away, or you may have to build up to full coverage, but it built up on top of itself without any issues. And along the cheeks, like, it wore nicely, you know? Forehead, you know, I wasn't a huge fan of the way that it wore on my forehead, but everywhere else, like, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'm actually pretty happy with it, and I'm good. I'm good with my purchase. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I tried it. It looks good. So there you have it. Those are my final thoughts on these two products from Dose of Colors. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video review and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I absolutely love to interact with you all. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.